Hi guys, welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay, as this time we have a very interesting international engagement in between the two pro players. So let me just start by introducing the players to you guys, as we have spawning here in the lower left in the brown. It is NALRA, the South Korean pro, and his opponent spawning here in the upper left in the blue is ARTOSIS. Of course, many of you know who this is, a very known streamer and also a very known figure on YouTube. So quite an interesting matchup we have here, Terran versus Protoss on a 4 spawning location map. Very soon we are going to be seeing the build orders, and as you can see from the timer, it is indeed a very long game, a very interesting game. I did watch a little bit of it, but of course I'm not going to spoil it for you. So yeah, quite interesting matchup as we have here. Of course, ARTOSIS is opening up with a supply depot and a casual pylon here for NALRA. So this of course indicates to us that he's not going for a fast expansion build. And interesting enough, once again I do see the Protoss place this pylon next to the gas, so perhaps this gives a small boost towards the ropes into mining the gas. So yeah, pretty standard stuff. Pylon here for the Protoss. I'm very sure he's going to continue with a gateway and of course a cybernetics core for those Dragoons. Of course, Dragoons, the most used unit for the Protoss, as we see the barracks here going up for the Terran for ARTOSIS. At the same time, he's also sending out a SCV. This could be of course the first scouting SCV indeed here for ARTOSIS, and at the same time we also see NALRA heading out with his probe, so no gateway for him. Interesting enough, he's playing very greedy here, very nice stuff. Straight a fast expansion build order, so no gateway, no cybernetics core, no gas, just straight pylon into fast expansion with 12 ropes for him. Of course he knows it's a 4 spawning location map, and luckily here ARTOSIS with a bad scouting route, but of course he will eventually find out where NALRA is hiding, but a very late scout, unless he's now going straight towards the lower left part here. And yeah, there we see the gateway. Gas is also getting now taken. Scouting still goes on here for ARTOSIS, and notice that NALRA is not deciding to scout at all. He's just going straight heavily into the second gateway now, I believe it is, yes indeed. And very soon it's going to be very likely either a forge or a cybernetics core. Pretty sure it's going to be a cybernetics core for the Dragoons. And now finally we also see NALRA moving out with his first scouting probe. Should be the factory here for ARTOSIS, as he's very likely going to transition into some vultures. Vultures of course are very good versus the zealots, in case there will be zealots. Also very nice into defending the Terran base with some mines. It could be also mass mech here for the Terran. Are we going to be seeing some flying units like a Brace, perhaps a battlecruiser? It's going to be very interesting to see, as the cybernetics core is also about to get finished here for NALRA. And you can see the production tab here in case I'm missing something. The first zealot is also getting produced, as we now finally see ARTOSIS come forward with his first SCV. Sees the fast expansion, sees of course that the mining has been going on for some time, and now checks the main, sees that only one zealot is getting produced, and we see actually all of a sudden ARTOSIS move out here with many SCVs on the ground. The probe did not see this, so this looks like pretty much an all-in here for the Terran. Leave some SCVs here at home, produces more and more of his units. One vulture and one marine is also getting produced, so we're going to be seeing ARTOSIS rush here, very likely the expansion point from NALRA. I believe NALRA has saw this, as he's going for a shield battery, so only one zealot to defend this. One Dragoon is also getting produced, actually 2 Dragoons now show up, but yes, also many SCVs in the front to tank the damage, as we see even one SCV building a bunker. Many SCVs will follow up. The shield battery has already taken some damage. Of course, NALRA is going to try to snipe one SCV after the other, so the building SCVs are of course the first to be taken out. The zealot has fallen now, the shield battery is taking quite some damage here, and even the Dragoons also suffering pretty high damage, but the shield battery is healing of course nicely. The shields from Protoss, some SCVs have fallen, but the bunker has finished, so this is really important for the Terran. As the bunker is finished, the SCVs do heal the vultures, and now very likely the shield is about to get sniped here. So very aggressive move out here by ARTOSIS, very rare scene. He's more likely going into a macro build order into mass mech. But right now he's with a great advantage here, attacking out the expansion from the Protoss and even sending 2 more SCVs out as his reinforcements are also pulling forward. So the shield battery is about to get fallen here. We see 4 Dragoons guiding here, actually guarding here this one expansion, but the expansion is dropping more and more. So NALRA pretty much has to hurry up. His Dragoons are pretty low here, but he might move out if not fast. His expansion is indeed falling here, so quite a great move here by ARTOSIS. Great advantage here for him, as the expansion has been sniped, and at the same time the ARTOSIS is also expanding here on the map, but there's 6 Dragoons now out of the map, and the bunker is very likely going to get sniped very soon. At the same time, range is of course finished. The Marines have to pull back as so many Dragoons out for NALRA, and one unit after the other is going to get sniped, but with the mines in the back, ARTOSIS has a chance, of course, to retreat. At the same time, his expansion has started. I believe NALRA is going to very likely soon rebuild his own expansion, and you can see from the worker count, pretty much the same worker count as NALRA is rebuilding his expansion. So an interesting move, a very aggressive move out here by ARTOSIS, but in the end NALRA losing only some mining time. He has of course to invest into another expansion, but yeah, he does hold, and he's not losing so many units. Actually only 1 zealot or 2 has fallen. At the same time, it looks like ARTOSIS is very likely going to continue his expanding route here, as slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 10-minute mark. Luckily for him, 1 tank is out, so the tank really important. We actually see a shuttle getting produced here for the Protoss, and an observatory, of course, much needed against the mines. So yeah, it's going to be perhaps a drop with some Dragoons into this location. It would be very interesting to see a double attack attempt here by NALRA into this location with Dragoons, and also here with a drop. Let's see if this is going to be his plan, or even taking some zealots with him. We're about to find out very soon. Or is it going to be very likely transitioning into more expansions here? Indeed, he's expanding into this location, and ARTOSIS also nicely guarding his expansion with some small move outs with some units, just to check more and more of those expansion points from the enemy. There we have the observer, and still no move out here with the shuttle. Actually, he has 4 zealots into it. Might be a drop into this location just to kill some SCVs. It could be a possibility here for NALRA. At the same time, he's also moving out, giving of course cover towards his second expansion, moving out with the observer, sniping as many mines as possible. At the same time, he's getting backed up here by this shuttle with the zealots. So the zealots are very likely going to get dropped straight into the siege tanks, but there is anti-air, there are Marines here for Terran, for ARTOSIS, as he's now already dealing good damage, good splash damage towards all of those Dragoons, and he's on the high ground, so he should be okay. The shuttle actually taking quite some damage, getting sniped. 2 zealots will be dropped. They are in a good position, however they will be immediately taken out. The Dragoons will of course try to snipe 1 tank after the other, but in the end those tanks are on the high ground. So very smart move here by ARTOSIS, leaving them on the high ground, and now this expansion is pretty much saved by him. At the same time, NALRA finishing his expansion here into this location, and yeah, sending out more and more of those probes to mine more and more. And we see now a transition here by the Terran into mass factories, into mass tanks. It's going to be very likely tanks, vultures and Goliaths once again here for the Terran, a much used strategy for any Terran. And yeah, the Dragoons are pretty much retreating. I believe NALRA is going to play it much defensively now. He knows he has a little bit of an economic advantage versus his opponent, as this observer gives him of course info that there's only 2 bases here for the Terran versus those 3 bases, and it will be even a 4th base very soon into this location. So Dragoons should be okay for him into defending. He's also adding more and more of those gateways. So are we going to be seeing only Dragoons with zealots? We're about to find out very soon. And yeah, just like I told you, it's a very long game, very different strategies, very different units are going to be seen here into this game, as we now will pass very soon the 10-minute mark. And yeah, it has turned into a stalemate, I believe. Slowly but steadily, ARTOSIS has of course to take his 3rd base very soon. No major move out yet by both players, playing it all of a sudden very safe. Notice how the Protoss has blocked here the entrance just to not allow any vulture move out. He might even try to add a cannon or two into this location just to give more cover. And yeah, just slowly but steadily moving out. Let's check the upgrades very soon, if there are any. So 0-0 for him. Let's check ARTOSIS, also 0-0. You can see speed is being upgraded for both players. We also see a Templar Archives, so we might see some Psionic Storm very soon by the Protoss, as many more of those gateways are being added here for him. Yeah, worker wise also pretty much the same worker count, only one small adventure. But hold on, we finally actually see now move out by the Terran, and I believe, yes indeed, ARTOSIS is very likely going to secure this expansion into this location. But at the same time, we also see a move out here by the Protoss. However, notice that he has no zealots, so much needed zealots. Perhaps it's just going to use shuttles with zealots, but those dragoons are of course an easy target for all of those tanks. So NALRA has to be careful. Now he finally could catch some of those tanks in the back, taking now some damage, some hits. So he really needs those zealots in the front. He might need some upgrades very soon. He's waiting for speed to get finished, as some vultures will take some damage here. Zealots would have been perfect here to stoke up all of those mines next to the Terran tanks. So yeah, let's have a look when exactly NALRA is going to bring the zealots force. Speed is about to get finished very soon, and the expansion is also very likely going to start very soon here for ARTOSIS, as the dragoons will just stay here into this defensive position. And it looks like ARTOSIS is going to push forward, but in comes the zealots with the shuttle here, so the siege tanks are not sieged up. That is very good here for the Protoss. Now finding some mines to get some good connections. The tanks all of a sudden explode here, as another zealot has brought those mines next to the tanks. And yeah, very smart move here. The Protoss actually using the mines from the Terran into his favor with those zealots, but also taking some casualties. He tries another flank, kills a vulture or two, kills now the mines as the siege continues here. Slowly but steadily, ARTOSIS is moving forward with his siege tanks, with his mines, but NALRA looks like he's just going to try to snipe all of the reinforcements at the same time. So many vultures are here in the front. A good Psionic Storm could of course take care of that. Maybe more and more is getting added. The dragoons in the back taking quite some splash damage out of the mines at the same time. They hold position here for those units, and yeah, these dragoons of course will very nice to get in position there to intercept all of the reinforcements. At the same time, we see the vultures working here, but the entrance is pretty much dropped. However, some vultures to make it here forward, so NALRA pretty much has to react now. He's moving forward with the zealots, but the zealots taking very much damage, and the vultures could outmicro them. But the zealots very low, getting sniped here by the vultures. The mines are doing their job really nicely, and yeah, all of a sudden the things have turned into the favor from the Terran. ARTOSIS is really doing great damage. However, now we have Psionic Storm versus all of those vultures, and in the end the siege tanks are also a little bit exposed, so this will be cleared. But notice the economic damage ARTOSIS has done. It's only 32 workers now here for the Protoss, and of course ARTOSIS knows this, and the dragoons are pretty much exposed, pretty much surrounded here, so they're very likely going to get snapped very soon, taking damage from all of the directions. So NALRA has to move out, but he will get intercepted, so these units might get killed here. Luckily he has an observer, even 2 observers out. At the same time, we see a counter-attack with some zealots, with some dragoons here. The other units are actually retreating here for ARTOSIS. Quite interesting, as the vultures still ignore the units and just go straight for this expansion point. So pretty much all of those workers have been sniped. NALRA tries the counter-attack, tries to intercept as many units as possible, but yeah, this expansion looks like he just took so much damage, and yeah, the vultures in the end will have to get retreated here by ARTOSIS. But yeah, he has 50 more workers now, and he even has finally now establishing this base. A little bit slow onto this one expansion point by ARTOSIS, but still a massive economic lead here by him, as new units, new probes have to be produced here for the Protoss. So a very interesting engagement, a very aggressive ARTOSIS here. I really like that from him. Usually the Terrans pretty much like to just stay back and focus onto their macro game, and only when being maxed out they're pushing out. But the ARTOSIS is showing us a great strategy with some vultures, with some tanks. And what is going to be the reaction here for the Protoss, going into a forge, still on mass gateways, so still the same unit composition, still 0-0 I believe. But the Terran No, also didn't need any upgrades here for him. As yeah, this is very hard to push here forward. So many tanks nicely spread out. There are some dragoons moving out. I believe the Protoss is going to very likely try to establish another base into this location very soon, as we're about to find out what is going to happen. Slowly but steadily the Protoss is catching up, but also Artosis might try to take this expansion into this location. And yeah, the vultures are still roaming around, still trying to gather as much information as possible. And yeah, still dealing good damage here, especially against those dragoons. So yeah, real match up here by Artosis being annoying as much as he can. Sniping actually unit after unit, so very nice move here by him with the vultures out on the map. Yeah, but I believe in the end this expansion is of course going to get finished. NALRA is going to secure it very soon, and at the same time it looks like Artosis could have taken this expansion here without adding any turrets, so straight into expansion, but I believe he's playing it safe. He's fearing of course some arbiter gameplay here by the Protoss, but no such thing yet. It's just mass units, mass gateway units for him, as he's just adding expansion after expansion now all over the map. So we have a small stalemate, but both players are pretty much now focusing onto their macro game. We even see some Goliaths, so indeed Artosis is fearing some arbiter gameplay here by the Protoss, and it could be a possibility. Actually the shuttle is also getting sniped. Good pull here with those mines, and then the shuttle is still roaming around here for NALRA, as the economy slowly but steadily is recovering very nicely here for the Protoss. Expansion is also getting finished. Still no expansion here for the Terran, for Artosis, and all of a sudden Artosis is playing very defensively, just leaving those tanks, just only moving out with his vultures. And yeah, pretty good map control here now by the Protoss, as he's sending out more and more of those probes down to mine here. So yeah, very soon he is also very likely going to expand here. He has a probe, so this expansion could give him of course a massive economic advantage here, as he has slowly but steadily now the same worker amount like his opponent, like Artosis. And yeah, still moving around. I believe he's just going to pretty much mass expand all over the map. Artosis should of course do the same very soon. He is actually building turrets first, adding the tank, so he's fearing an attack, but command center once again very slow by him, as the Protoss is strongly catching up some probes on idle, and he has added now an expansion here, might add an expansion here very soon, as slowly but steadily his old expansions are pretty much getting inspired. But he needs to be careful with all of those probes. Every probe is very important, as some of them are indeed still on idle, as we could see an interception here by the vultures from the dragoons. So yeah, still good damage here for both players. A more defensive gameplay now all of a sudden by Artosis, after he was very aggressive early on with two nice pushes. Now he is going to very likely gather a guide here and defend here this base, as he has the high ground. And the Protoss still moving out only with dragoons. The zealots are in the back. I believe they will be used against tanks only, not against the mines. But hold on, actually one zealot is going to clear some of those mines here, as we even have a shuttle with high temper storms. So the shuttle is going to be very important. It has taken some damage. Finally the expansion is now floating up. No mining yet for him, so of course NALRA has expected already some mining to go on here for Artosis, but yeah, no such thing yet, as he is once again retreating the shuttle also on hold position. So yeah, let's see what the next steps are going to be. Still a very defensive gameplay here by Artosis, as the dragoons are also now going back just to defend the newly established bases. Of course, very important bases. A good map control by the Protoss, as he has so many observers out on the map, and even the shuttle gives good cover here. And yeah, we have a waiting game all of a sudden, both players closing into being maxed out. Now the upgrades will of course be very important. One weapons upgrade here for the Protoss. We also see the upgrades here for the Terran starting to kick in, so one weapons upgrades for him. This is going to be very interesting to see who is going to be the first to move out. The tanks are sniping those mines on the ground. At the same time we see an army move out here by the Protoss, but is it just on foot? So slowly but steadily they the Terran is sniping, of course, the observer here from NALRA, as NALRA is going to try to establish this newly base here into this location. So at the same time moving out, he is also defending these newly established bases, but the Terran might also try to move out very soon, as he's slowly but steadily pushing here out. Also very likely going to take this expansion here. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen here. Some vultures will of course be killed, but yeah, NALRA with a very smart move, moving his army straight into this location right here, just to give cover towards this expansion and the newly established expansion on the low ground. A very smart move by him, taking control, but hold on, we actually have a move out with so many vultures, some mist, high temper storms. This expansion is pretty much exposed now, as a very smart move here by ARTOSIS with a small group of vultures. Look at how much damage he can do here. So NALRA caught pretty much off guard. All of those mines will deal very likely splash damage towards the reinforcements here. So a very small gap now working against NALRA. The vultures will eventually fall, but once again NALRA has fallen to 50 workers only here, so pretty much has to bring all of his units back. Quite a strong move here by ARTOSIS, once again showing us how much damage a small group of vultures can do, as all of those high temper storm pretty much missed their targets, and now all of a sudden the Protoss is moving out, but there's also many tanks here sieged up, so he needs to be careful. He might take quite some huge losses here, as yeah, unit after unit is getting sniped. The Goliaths are nicely in the front, no vultures yet for him, but there's so many tanks in the back, as some lone dragoons will be sniped here. So the Protoss on the high ground, but he needs to be careful. He's losing actually so many units here, one unit after the other. The important units actually getting sniped, as the Terran is slowly but steadily moving forward with his siege tanks. Nice stuff here by ARTOSIS, as so many dragoons and so many zealots are getting sniped here, and even a nice defensive matrix giving good defensive shield here towards this one tank. So yeah, more and nice spread here by the tanks. I believe those tanks in the back can of course be unsieged and brought forward, so and slowly but steadily this could be very strong for the Terran, as this rocks right here actually work in favor for the Terran, and indeed the reinforcements are pouring forward. This expansion a little bit exposed. There is a science vessel here for some EMP shockwave. Once again we see ARTOSIS move forward. He has more courage. The tanks are in the back, but the reinforcements need to come forward here. He's still on idle with all of those tanks. He has good map control, but only sending out his vultures now. Finally the Protoss comes in from the back, from the side, tries a good flank, or perhaps he's going to force the Terran to unsiege to come back to defend his base. So he's pretty much going to commit here forward. No arbiter gameplay yet for him. Some zealots will clear this stuff, as ARTOSIS still holds his position. And yeah, a little bit of a fake move out here by the Protoss, as it is of course very hard to move here onto this one ramp, as it's nicely getting protected. But finally the siege tanks do make their way here forward, so the first expansion is about to fall very soon for the Protoss. The Protoss tries a flank, but there's so many tanks on the ground, so still so much damage being taken here by the Protoss. One unit after the other is falling, and his expansion is also falling here, so all of a sudden ARTOSIS is in a very good position here, as he's taking out so many of those units and so many of those expansions. But there are so many expansions still to be taken out. However, the main now will suffer very soon, so the Protoss really has to hurry up here into defending. His main group is out, there is no arbiter, there is no recall, there are no carriers, and yeah, the other expansion is about to fall very soon for him. So the Terran ARTOSIS with a very smart move, luring his enemy into those mines. More and more damage is being taken here by the Protoss, as the mines getting some great connections, and all of those zealots will fall very soon. So a very poetic game here. Finally some great storms here by the Protoss, as the tanks will be caught, and even some mines will get some good connections into the zealots and into the tanks. But yeah, now all of a sudden the tanks will siege up, and the Protoss has to retreat. However, his expansion is pretty much exposed, and a second base is very likely going to fall here, while the Terran is still expanding here into this location. So yeah, very hard game here for the Protoss. Much stronger game here for ARTOSIS, but we still see the Protoss just expanding all over the map, getting more and more of his bases up, and some of the bases haven't been touched. This base isn't really so important. This base was important, but it's also almost maxed out. However, the newly established bases haven't been touched yet here by the Terran army. It's of course much more supply here for the Terran. Worker-wise, still pretty much the same worker amount by both players as we've passed the 25th minute mark. So yeah, quite an interesting game we have so far, but interesting enough, no arbiters for the Protoss. Is he going to very likely transition into something else? Hold on, we do have 2 starports, so finally we do see some arbiters, very late arbiters here for the Protoss. I believe he realized that it's not going to work out with his zealots and with his dragoons on the ground. Still, he's trying to counter, he's trying to take out the newly established bases. Finally, we could see some good storms here by NALRA, taking out so many of those units. So really nicely done here by NALRA with great storms, and now he's even going for some Archons. So I believe the High Templar storms will be the counter towards all of the masses here from the Terran. So quite great stuff here by him, as he's just going to morph some Archons now. So High Templar storms always strong, especially versus the Zerg, but also doing great jobs versus the Terran army, as the army is really big and very low, very slow moving here for him, as once again a High Templar storm has had some good of those units. And yeah, yet another greatly casted storm. The tanks now finally get guarded here by the vultures as he's moving forward. So really nice stuff here by the Protoss, all of a sudden killing massive amounts of Terran units. You can see it on the supply block here. But hold on, we actually see ARTOSIS now finally making his way into the newly established base. Same time we see a counterattack with many zealots on the ground, so the Protoss is very likely going to move forward. He needs that arbiter very soon. Great storm once again getting casted. The tanks are nicely spreaded here by ARTOSIS. And yeah, very interesting game we have here, still nicely. And this is what I told you, the rocks actually work in favor here for the Terran, for ARTOSIS, giving good cover towards all of the tanks. He has vision, he's going to deal so much splash damage here against the units, and even some mines will get some good connections here. So the 3 tanks still tanky here, and yeah, finally they will be taken out, and now all of a sudden the Protoss will be able to clear this, but at what cost? He's taking so much damage. The zealots are working very nicely, but also taking huge amounts of splash damages in the end. They will be able to clear this out with the mines, or are they actually? The vultures now give good cover, but so many tanks have fallen here. Like slowly but steadily we close here towards the 30-minute mark. Still the tanks are in the forward here for ARTOSIS, and yet another base is about to get finished here, as this was a newly established base. You can see all of the minerals, so very good move out this time by ARTOSIS, and the new bases here will also get snapped very soon. So quite strong stuff. I still don't see the arbiter, still don't see any recalls. Finally the arbiters actually stay home here for NALRA, so perhaps he just forgot about them, perhaps he just wants them to get more and more of that energy. So interesting stuff, as this could be a good target, but so many turrets on the ground. And yeah, let's have a look what the next steps are going to be, as I believe ARTOSIS has a small advantage now. But if you can see at the worker count, NALRA still has 73 workers, he still has so many bases pumping out, and I believe this unit is going to be very important. The High Templar storm, we see how important it was with those storms onto those tanks and vultures. So this is the unit we need to watch out for him. Once again getting used, I believe. Yeah, ARTOSIS is going to try to snap the High Templars with those speed vultures, getting intercepted, and yeah, he might take another base here. He's long distance mining, he could take this base here as well. As yeah, what are going to be the next steps? He's still just moving out with his vultures, still a waiting game. And yeah, those bases here haven't been really touched. And let's have a look at the arbiters. Yeah, they're still here on idle, they're pretty much at full energy, so he could add some more arbiters, or they could be used just to use that stasis trap onto all of those Terran's units. So yeah, that could be also a possibility here for him. Some SCV on idle, as those players are perhaps just focusing now onto their economy once again, playing it very safe, very interesting. Still, all of the production buildings are here into this location. We also see a starport with many science vessels getting produced. So yeah, we have reached the halftime, 30-minute mark, so still anyone's game. Very interesting game. Still a small stalemate, as those players are pretty much regrouping, and finally now the arbiters are into action very soon as they move forward, and they're very likely going to be using those stasis fields. But ARTOSIS knows this, of course, as he's spreading his tanks, and we finally see a army move out, a very large army move out. Let's just check the upgrades very quick before the attack. Armor and 2 And let's check ARTOSIS very quickly as well. 3-3, so this is a huge advantage here for ARTOSIS. With those upgraded tanks, we might see a EMP shockwave very nicely with a stasis trap. Very fast reaction here by both players. As the mines are getting once again good connections, very nice stuff here by ARTOSIS, showing us the importance out of those mines. In comes the Arbiter. Is it going to be a drop very soon? Could be a recall straight into this base, or is it just moving currently forward? He might eat a EMP shockwave very soon. There it is, nice EMP, and all of a sudden all of those Arbiters are pretty low. So yeah, the Protoss just has to wait here. He has no more energy, as the SCV is taking quite some damage. So yeah, interesting still. We see some cannons here into deflecting this one expansion. At the same time, the Protoss is going to clear some of the turrets in the middle. Might intercept some mines here, so it's still he's taking more and more damage. But those mines very nicely working in favor here from ARTOSIS. However, it looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here, taking more and more damage, taking more and more splash damage out of the mines. We even have a irradiate here onto this one dragoon. Quite interesting stuff here by ARTOSIS, as this expansion is going to very likely fall. The CVs now have to fight for their life, and ARTOSIS isn't that much mobile here as he's taking more and more damage, and the Protoss army just keeps on continuing to push forward. However, there are tanks on the high ground, so more and more splash damage is being taken here by the Protoss as he's moving forward. Now NALRA finally realizes this, that he's in a bad position, he could get surrounded, and he's moving back. Some science vessels here on idle. Let's have a look what the next steps are going to be. Yeah, NALRA just tried, of course, to pull the main army from the Terran back. But the ARTOSIS is just pretty much waiting, just pretty much guarding, of course, his newly established bases. Those are very important, yeah, especially here, and this one is also finished for him. This one could be the next target, but I believe NALRA is once again going to try to push out. He's very likely going to go for the main production buildings here. It could be a recall attempt here as well for him. And look at that economy here for him, very strong. Is he going to very likely transitioning into something else? He's adding starport after starport and yet another cybernetics core. I don't see a fleet beacon yet for him, but maybe it's hidden somewhere else. And yeah, we might see some other units very soon, as this game is still continuing here. So still anyone's game. We see another base here getting established by the Protoss. Still no base here for the Terran, and yeah, still no mining here, interesting enough. ARTOSIS forgot about that, and we actually see some High Templars getting some irradiation, looking very interesting into the yellow. And let's have a look at base on idle here. Sadly, ARTOSIS with some small mistakes, as still more and more irradiate getting casted here for him. Nice stuff here by both players. Irradiate very rarely seen onto the Protoss units. And yeah, the Protoss once again is retreating. The Terran still pretty much onto his defenses. Some tanks perhaps have been forgotten here. But yeah, better map control overall here by the Protoss. And yeah, the tanks are still defending like I told you, so very defensive gameplay once again. All of the tanks are spread here, so not that many Goliaths. This could be indeed, what exactly is he producing? Mass Arbiters? No, it's actually carriers all of a sudden. I still don't see the hidden fleet beacon, so somewhere he has hidden, of course, a fleet beacon just to massively produce now those carriers. So very interesting stuff here by the Protoss. Two High Templars here defensively guarding this. And yeah, we will see, of course, mass carriers all of a sudden. So this will take ARTOSIS pretty much by surprise. He's being maxed out, he can't produce any units right now. He doesn't have Goliaths, just a couple of Goliaths, but it's just vultures and tanks mainly for him. Only those science vessels perhaps in the air with some EMP shockwaves can be very defensively. And yeah, let's see if this one Arbiter is going to commit to move forward into dropping a recall here. We even have a Goliath, so ARTOSIS seems to be prepared. Even one science vessel is here, so yeah, let's have a look when the carriers will come out. Finally, they are out very soon. The economy is very strong, so the Protoss can afford losing some of those carriers. And yeah, we have still a small stalemate, a very defensive gameplay once again by ARTOSIS, pretty much on idle, not moving his tanks, just trying of course to get maxed out, trying of course to add many more factories. He's very likely going to have to transition into some Goliath gameplay very soon against all of those carriers in the air. We see good stasis trap now, great stasis trap here indeed by the Protoss. This is killing so many of those tanks now, and some of the tanks, even though they were nicely spreaded, will take some damage. So the Protoss is willing to lose some of his units just to transition into more and more of those carriers. And yeah, he's just moving more and more forward, but the tanks are on the high ground. The vultures also give good cover as the high tempo storm now catching some quickly stuff. I believe he could cast another storm. Nicely done here by him. Yeah, in the end it was a smart move here by the Protoss, losing some of his units, sacrificing some of the units just to add more and more of those carriers. So we are going to be seeing mass carriers very soon. And in the production tab I don't see any Goliaths being made here by ARTOSIS, as we see more and more of those upgrades. This is why he has added a second cybernetic score, just to add more and more of those upgrades. And yeah, only Dragoons being left here for the Protoss. So mass Dragoons with carriers it is going to be here versus those tanks, and it should be of course a mass Goliath production very soon for ARTOSIS, as they're still waiting. Of course, perhaps he did scan this location so he knows what is going up, and he's now adding more and more anti-air turrets, and yeah, an expansion here as well for the Protoss. So pretty much all of a sudden the Protoss has good control of the map. He has newly established bases here into this location, also adding one here into this location, still mining all over the map, and still has those Dragoons roaming around. And the high tempo storms will also be very important for him, but most important units of course the carriers as they move out, and it's a critical mass. I believe 8 carriers already getting 1, 2, 5, so around 10 carriers here all of a sudden for the Protoss. No, it's actually 8, but still a great number, as those carriers will be quite a surprise here for ARTOSIS. And more Dragoons are getting sacrificed, so very smart move here by the Protoss against the tanks. And there are no, actually now all of a sudden Goliaths are getting produced here for the Terran. So ARTOSIS finally realizes that it is indeed going to be mass carriers versus him. So Goliaths are massively getting produced here. Is it going to be enough for him to hold against so many carriers in the air? 8 carriers, a critical mass here for the Protoss, as I believe more are getting produced. No, it's actually already mined out, maxed out, as it's going to be Goliaths versus carriers very soon, but upgraded carriers. Notice armor, shield, and even the interceptors get some upgrades here for him, as we now see the Goliaths moving forward. Massive amounts of Goliaths, but 8 carriers very strong with Dragoons. Dragoons of course a great counter against all of those Goliaths on the ground. As yeah, we still have 10 minutes of this game, so still anyone's game, a very interesting game, as in comes the carriers moving forward with the interceptors, and they first just target those science vessels, and now they get critical mass here attacking straight the expansion. So very smart move here by the Protoss, going straight for the expansion, not for the SCVs, and pretty soon this base is not going to mine well. If he's going to continue his forward, there are some anti-air units, some Goliaths, but all of a sudden all of those units need to come back, as another expansion is going to get snapped. So very smart move. This is exactly how you should be doing. Of course the carriers are pretty much exposed. They are eating a nice EMP shockwave now, but 2 newly established expansion have been killed here. Finally the Goliaths do make their way forward, but very hard to move out onto this one ramp. I saw so much stuff going on. Very good position here for those carriers. I believe ARTOSIS could be forced into going into some race, or perhaps battle cruisers, and we are about to find out, as unit after unit is getting pretty much snapped here by those carriers. And yeah, very good spot here now being found by the Protoss, and still he might try to snap yet another expansion, just roaming around, just moving forward, back and forward, very nicely, just snapping unit after unit as he's moving around the map. The tanks are of course pretty much exposed. A great storm, and yeah, very nice move. All of a sudden 2 bases have fallen here for ARTOSIS, and now finally the Goliaths will get some good shots, so NALRA needs to be careful. His carriers are pretty much exposed. More and more interceptors are falling for him. Yeah, he's still continuing to snipe the units as more and more Goliaths and tanks are getting produced. So ARTOSIS will hold, but at what cost? He has lost 2 newly established bases, and a great storm now once again being casted here by the Protoss, as he's able to take out so many of those Goliaths and the Guardians. The carriers are nicely now on the high ground. Even the Zergs will be able to take some good damage versus the Goliaths. But yeah, the Protoss has to rebuild the interceptors very soon, as it's just moving out. However, now they're pretty much exposed, so NALRA with a small mistake, actually a big mistake here, just losing carrier after carrier. What a mistake here by NALRA. I believe he's just going to straight to transition into more and more carriers. His economy is of course allowing this thing, but yeah, so many carriers have fallen as yet the tanks now will move forward with the Goliaths, or perhaps it's going to all of a sudden transition into more gateway units. Still a very interesting game, still anyone's game. And yeah, all of a sudden all of those minerals and gas will be depleted very soon. As what a mistake here by NALRA, as he has lost so many carriers, so he needs to be more careful with that. And yet another expansion has been added here by ARTOSIS. And yeah, great stasis trap. It could be even mass arbiters for the Protoss, as he might try to snipe those units just to take them out with stasis trap. And yeah, we are once again calming down a little bit, as the damage, the economic damage has pretty much been done here by NALRA. Still worker wise, ARTOSIS has many more workers, but he has lost quite some mine time. But hold on, actually we have a counter attempt here by him with a small group of tanks and Goliaths on the high ground, so this is going to force, of course, the Protoss to react very soon, as many more units are getting added here. And yeah, this expansion is going to very likely fall, as ARTOSIS has indeed here the high ground. And let's see when exactly the newly carriers will once again arrive for ARTOSIS, so sorry for NALRA, as he's just now taking more and more damage here. But he does have the high ground. However, a great high temp storm once again has been cast to take all of those units out, so nice stuff here by NALRA. And the expansion is surviving, so this is very important. The expansion has survived here into this location. And yeah, now it's just all of a sudden mass vultures, but there's still 3 carriers out, and the expansion is pretty much exposed, so the carriers are pretty much on move. Going to deal some damage towards the expansion here, but he needs to be careful once again with that carrier micro, as he's just taking once again so much damage, so he's not very careful. The carrier really taking lots and lots of damage. So very interesting move. I believe he's just pretty much busy with this one here, but yeah, he's just taking way too much damage, so he needs to be careful. He might lose the game because of this micro management here. So yeah, all of a sudden all of those Goliaths are also moving forward. At the same time we see a counter here by ARTOSIS, and yeah, more carriers will be added. Now Zealots are in the front upgraded, Zealots versus the upgraded Goliaths. And let's see, the carriers will also help out very soon. We even have an arbiter now with the turrets to give detection here, so and a good move out here by the Protoss, as he's also going to try to kill all of the newly established bases here. And moving forward, a great stasis trap, taking out so many of those tanks. So really important stasis trap, as now the SCVs will take quite some damage. They're pretty much getting surrounded now by the tanks, and yeah, it's very hard for them to move out on the ramp. Even the dragoons will be added here, so slowly but steadily ARTOSIS losing worker after worker here. So let's give good protection, good attack here, and develop what's going to be happening as more and more workers are falling. So all of a sudden the Protoss is pretty much in control of this game. ARTOSIS tries with some small counter attack. He still has some Goliaths out, so it could be still his game, but he's just taking more and more damage. However, the interceptors also fall here, and all of a sudden ARTOSIS has more minerals than his opponent. So in the end, the Protoss is pretty much mined out very soon. One of this expansion will mine, but there are some vultures here for the Terran. So yeah, it's still anyone's game all of a sudden. Perhaps NALRA with some mistakes allows here ARTOSIS to come back, and some great counter offensive here with some vultures on the ground for the Terran. Yeah, quite an interesting game here. I believe the Protoss just going to try to regroup. This expansion is of course very important to guide and to protect here for him. I believe he's just going to pretty much reinforce this unit. He's still maxed out, so he could do a great push forward, but where exactly is he going to attack? Perhaps take out these 2 vultures just to allow the mining to continue here. We're about to find out, as he might even try to take those 2 high templars from the base. And yes, indeed, he's going to move out here, attacking the vultures, taking them out. And this place, of course, all of a sudden very important, so he might try to go straight for the production tab here for ARTOSIS, as he's moving out with his maxed out army versus only 134 here for ARTOSIS. We're about to find out what's going to happen very soon, as it looks like the Protoss is going to target this expansion very soon. We see a small engagement here. Dragoons, of course, really strong versus the Goliaths on the high ground. ARTOSIS twice his best to kite, but we even saw some high tempo storms moving forward. to deal more damage against the units. And now we even have so many carries here for NALRA. There's one Goliath after the other. He's pulling even the Zealots, getting some good connections here with those mines. And yeah, more and more damage is being taken all of a sudden by ARTOSIS. Is he going to be able to hold the tanks or dealing some good damage on the ground? But once again, High Templar Storm dealing so much splash damage here, taking out so many of those units here from ARTOSIS. Still one carrier could be nicely targeted here. Nice micro here by ARTOSIS, but still the carrier has fallen with High Templar Storm. So finally, in the end of the game, looks like High Templars will be once again very important unit. However, the reinforcements are pulling forward here for ARTOSIS, as so much damage is being taken by the Protoss as well, and it's only carrier being left. There's so many carriers against less amount of dragoons. Sorry, and yet the carriers do now establish the air dominance as another tank, and yet another tank slowly but steadily is being taken out. And yeah, this base is also very likely going to get targeted very soon. So all of a sudden, NALRA once again is moving out. Needs to be careful against those turrets on the ground. The base is still getting repaired here, so NALRA with a small mistake once again, as he's going for the base here as well. And yeah, then he will also snipe all of the Guardians and SCVs on the ground. So yeah, very interesting stuff by him. So many carriers looking really strong. Now going for the production buildings or the command center here as well. The SCVs also moving forward, so he could take those out as well. Yeah, great air dominance indeed by the Protoss. All of a sudden the Goliaths also getting targeted, getting out one after the other. So it looks like the Protoss has the high amount, but ARTOSIS is also having a great economy here for him. So yeah, let's see what the reinforcements are going for. Just dragoons, just some zealots, as the carriers are still roaming around, just sniping everything they can. One unit after the other, one production building after the other. Some mines will get some good connections. The dragoons, however, getting intercepted. One lone carrier is being forgotten here by NALRA, but the real action is of course happening here into this location, as more and more damage is being taken here by ARTOSIS. And all of a sudden ARTOSIS has dropped to 86 supply, only 36 workers. The reinforcements are also nicely taking care of those Goliaths on the ground. And yes, indeed, this has to be of course the GG. No GG from ARTOSIS. Yeah, yes, was caught a little bit by surprise. He could have made it back into the game. NALRA with quite some mistakes later on with those carriers, just having to multitask, and those carriers taking quite some damage out of the Goliaths. But in the end it was just way too much. And yeah, NALRA with a nice winning move here. Let's check the upgrades very quick out of this great long game. Very interesting game here indeed. And yeah, in the end the Protoss proving to be a little bit too strong. A nice transition into carriers late, very late. Arbiters didn't work out for him well, and great mech gameplay here by ARTOSIS, but in the end the dragoons pretty much took care of the Goliaths on the ground. And the other zealots also got some great connections with those mines against the tanks. So yeah, great game overall by both players. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be seeing of course in the next replays. This is Tommy signing out.